Well, hello YouTube. This is DisturbdEuphony again, and we are now here with episode 2 of combining the Artemis, the space station that we're building in space. So let's go ahead and get started here. We're gonna start building again, but I'm gonna save you again from watching me spend an hour building a spaceship. It's already pre-built somewhat, but we have the second piece. This is gonna be the tail end of the Artemis, and essentially what we're gonna do is have a couple docking ports. We can have RCS thrusters. If you can see, I'm actually rebuilding some of what I've done. I'm actually adding a quad coupler to the fuel tanks down there. I actually like the way that looks. It's not as efficient, obviously, as using a larger fuel tank, but I just like the way it looks. Give it some variety to the spaceship and to the space station. Sorry. Actually, this time around, I was smart enough to add winglets and stabilizers, and the launching stabilizers as well. That helps out a ton. I am going to fast forward through the launch sequence here just because I know you guys have seen 100,000 launches on YouTube before, and I don't think you need to see me do it again, especially after I've already done it on the first episode. But if you want me to teach you how to get into orbit, I can teach you what I know. It's not the best method, and I'm sure Scott Manley is going to be able to do more, or other people that are on the channel. But here we are, detaching one of the first stages here. I'm getting rid of the 4 rockets. I love the way that it kind of came apart, made the cross section there. It reminded me a lot of, I don't know, maybe Star Trek or Star Wars. I'm not sure how. Maybe just like a ship exploded and is now going to find a way to rescue itself. I have no idea. But I also want to do the fairing too, and just to get that cinematic photography point. Thought it would be kind of cool. But I had a little bit of trouble trying to do it. I'm actually not sure how everyone on YouTube can comment on an entire 15-minute video. I'm already 3 minutes through, and out of everything to say to you guys. But anyways, we are, I actually thought it was very interesting to make a crew filled with male and female characters here. If you've ever watched Europa Report, or if you've ever read the book The Martian, if I could just remember the author, I'm not sure who it is, I'll have to put it in the description. But they balance each other out, and I feel like if you have male and female astronauts in a long-term spaceship, they have their strengths and their weaknesses that can create an awesome astronomical astronaut team. How about that? That would be a lot better whenever I was trying to say. I'm not even sure where I was going. But my first process in getting to orbit and to dock with something is to adjust the inclination. That's the best way for me to do this, because I can kind of match my my angles. I can then start adjusting for target positions and where they're going to be. I'm not very good at this, obviously, because it does take me some time, but they're all gradual changes, nothing over 50 to 100 meters per second delta V. I think actually the highest I got was 50 meters per second. So I thought that was a very good adjustment, and I didn't use a lot of fuel trying to get into the same orbit as as the Artemis 1. And you'll see now that I'm trying to figure out how to make both of the apoapses very similar. That's kind of what I wanted to do after the fact. I do apologize that a majority of the video is on the dark side of the planet. I didn't realize that whenever I took off that I just was completely going to be in the dark, even during the rendezvous. If you look, whenever it comes back up on the map view, it was going to be in the dark. Did not even realize that, and that actually made the docking quite hard. Couldn't even see where the docking port was until I was almost 25 meters from it. I was able to get the encounter node within, I want to say, 0.9 kilometers, maybe a kilometer and a half later into the orbit there. It was actually quite easy. I got quite lucky that it was that quick. Usually I have to go through anywhere from 5 to 7 orbits just to be able to get them to match up that nicely, especially within a kilometer. That's absolutely ridiculous. And even though the target speed here is going to be around, I think, what is it, 50 meters per second, something like that, I was really excited whenever I saw Artemis 1 flying at me at pretty close to high speeds. That means I could pass it, come right back to it, and then dock. And that actually made things quite easy. At this point, I'm continuously switching between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2 using the bracket keys. What I was trying to do was just basically make each ship self-automated here. Each docking port was controlled. I used the Clampetron docking port as the control point, and I wanted to face that right at the other ship at the correct angle in order to dock it correctly. So if you use both ships rather than just one to try and dock, you're going to have much more, it's not going to be luck that you're docking. It's going to be a lot easier. It's going to make yourself a lot less frustrated trying to dock into another ship. So basically what you're just going to see a 1.5 meter per second docking at like almost, 700 meters. It takes me quite some time to get there, but I use the I, J, K, L, H, and N keys for my RCS thrusters, essentially adjusting my prograde to keep the center reticule of my ship, basically to keep the front of my ship on the target and to also keep my prograde centered with the target as well. That way I don't veer away from it, because within 700 meters, only going 1.5 meters, you can veer off course quite quickly if you do a time warp, and then you're going to kind of be screwed whenever you try to dock later on. I just now noticed how excited all the Kerbals are that they are about to dock to Artemis 1. They are just so ecstatic, ready for the ships to merge here, going into deep space later on, and we were finally docked. Now this is the first stage of docking. I'm going to undock eventually, but what I wanted to do here specifically is I wanted to transfer the fuel. It's dark, once again though. And I think the best thing that we could do is send the ship into the light on the light side of the planet. So that's what I'm doing. I'm fast forwarding, time warping onto that side of the planet just so we can see what in the world is going on then you actually be able to see the Artemis 2 for what it truly is. And it's basically just a big fuel ship with a large rocket in the back. And what I wanted to do is the main reason I didn't detach the orange booster in episode 1 was I wanted to transfer what was remaining of all those fuel tanks into the fuel tanks that we have on Artemis 2. Then we could detach them, undock the ship, redock the ship in the correct position, and basically we would be pretty much set to go interplanetary for almost anything. We would have a huge amount of Delta V. And this Jebediah's amazing look at the planet, which is pretty awesome. Initially, I could not find the node to detach the Artemis 1 from the Artemis 2, but I finally found it. I'm not sure if it was a glitch of some sort. In my first attempt here, not so great. I was at a wrong angle. I bumped up against it. Kind of didn't go fast enough, I suppose, but once again, I'm using the IJKLHN keys to dock. I don't go into docking mode because I'm not sure honestly how to use it. I haven't wikied it to try and understand. I'm sure if you use docking mode, it'd be a lot easier. And maybe next time I can try and learn that and tell you guys a little bit about it. I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there though that kind of tell you what to do. However, this is DisturbdEuphony. We're going ahead to the dock, and join me next time in episode 3 when we add the landers to the Artemis.